Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much, ET, for having me for this session. When I came to know that my session is like kind of the last one before lunch, my first reaction was "Baap re baap." But I think the topic is so interesting that I'm sure everybody would really want to know of how this works. So, what I'm going to take up today is from SME to IPO, the next leap of growth. So let's first understand what this SME IPO is. You must have heard a lot about SME IPO in the news, especially that one company jisne, went for a 8 crore odd fundraise, but received subscriptions of around 4,000 odd crores, etc. So it's really created a lot of buzz that by what is this, how does this work, and who's eligible, who can go for it, kya fayda hai. I'm trying to cover all of that in this session. So first and foremost, what is an SME IPO? So an SME IPO is a process by which an SME company, so typically IPOs, so is meant for large companies, barabar, a company which becomes really big, scales to a certain level, and then raises money from the stock exchange, NSE and BSE. Correct? So in 2012, there was this concept introduced of SME IPO. This is that companies who are not very large, SME companies, growing, profitable, good companies, but not very large, they should also still be able to raise funds on this platform. And that's why both NSE and BSE set up their SME exchanges in 2012. So BSE, we have the BSE SME segment, and in NSE, we have the NSE Emerge platform. Okay. So to raise funds on these platforms, I will take you through the eligibility criteria and all of that, but understand one thing, that if you are raising funds on this platform, you do become a public company. So you do need to give stake to the public. So how much? Minimum 25% to the public, and there's another concept here, 1.5% has to be given to a market maker. Abhi ye market maker kya hota hai? Samajhte, is an important concept when it comes to SMEs. SME companies are like small, they are not very well known as such. So the problem would, and this concept of an SME exchange was very, very new. So now the problem is, कि यार raise तो कर दिया, but what if investors who have invested in this company want to leave? खरीदने वाला भी होना चाहिए. What if खरीदने वाला ही नहीं है? Then what will happen? Then there's no market really. You're saying it's a public company, trading will happen, but खरीदने वाला ही नहीं है. So that is why the concept of market maker was introduced, that if anybody wants to sell, the market maker will have to buy. And if anyone wants to buy, no other people are willing to sell, the market maker will have to sell to create a market for it. But anyways, this was all 2012. Now, so there's so much liquidity in the market, ke sab zarurat hi nahi padta. There's lots of liquidity now. So let's go ahead. First, let's take you through some key differences between the normal IPO jo hota hai. We'll call that the main board IPO of NSE and BSE, and the SME IPO. What is the difference between the two things? So first and foremost, the main board IPOs are meant for larger companies. These are meant and geared specifically for smaller companies. When it comes to paid up capital requirements, you have 10 crores minimum paid up, post issue paid up capital needs to be there for a main board issue. But for an SME, minimum is just 1 crore paid up capital and maximum 25 crores paid up capital. Now, let's not get confused in this. This is not the amount that you can raise. You can raise even hundreds of crores. There have been issues, successful issues, more than 100 crores on this platform. So, but what this 25 crores of paid up capital means, the face value of the paid up capital only, that should not exceed 25 crores. The next major difference would be operating profit. To be eligible on the main board, in the normal route at least, is that you need to have an operating profit, average operating profit in of any 3 years out of the last 5 years should be minimum 15 crores. For an SME, that's not required. You just have to have profit in the 2 years out of the last 3 years. That's it. No amount of profit, just profit. It needs to be profitable. Another line of differentiation is underwriting. So in main board issues, there is no mandate of underwriting, but in an SME issue, there is 100% underwriting. What does this mean? This means that if you go and you open your issue, is the merchant banker, that's the intermediary who does this entire IPO process, will have to 100% underwrite your shares. मतलब किसी ने नहीं खरीदा, वो खरीदेगा. Your issue is safe. This was very, very important because SME, it was a very new concept, very risky concept, didn't know how it would work. So this was a very good move and the right step. So yeah, these are the major differences. Moving along. Okay, let's understand क्यों करना चाहिए सबसे पहले तो. Why should any company explore an IPO, or why should especially an MSME explore an IPO? So let's talk about some right reasons. Because बहुत लोग के माइंड में बहुत गलत reasons भी होते हैं. Since I come across people who tell me things, I'm like नहीं भाई, please do not do this. The right reasons for going for an IPO, first and foremost, is value creation. Value creation. You have net worth in your business. Say you have 50 crores of net worth in your business, barabar? But tell me one thing, this amount is not available for you actually, because it will be tied up in what? It will be tied up in stock, it will be tied up in debtors, it will be tied up in properties, it will be tied up in machineries, it will be tied up in many things for the business. So available entire net worth kabhi bhi any given point of time available nahi hota. Bhale wo value hai. You have a book value, but it's called a book value. It's not a real marketable value. But by going for an IPO, you realize actual value. And as I said, 26.25%, kaise 25 plus 1.25 is what you are going to be minimum giving out. So bacha kitna for the promoters? 73.75%. Barabar? Now just imagine that unlocked value ka 73.75% is still yours. Now giving you the same example, say 50 crores is the book value, and let's consider a modest valuation of say 20 times book value for now. So कितना हो जाता है? 50 crores into 500, 10 times would be 500, 1000. 1000 का 73% will be still 736 something, 732 crores. Yellow. That much is the value that you unlock now. Those shares, the worth of those shares are that. Now, obviously there are lot many things you have to do after that to keep that value. Obviously the business needs to grow, etc. But this is one of the right reasons. So you unlock value for you also, and for your investors also, for other stakeholders as well. Next, fundraising. Now this has come a long way since 2012. I have actually been tracking this entire exchange since 2012. Okay, tracking many of the issues, etc. And before, when I used to talk to merchant bankers, very lot of reluctance, because investors were very choosy about coming into these companies. Liquidity kuch tha nahi market mein वगैरह. So fundraising was becoming very difficult even on this exchange. But entire story changed, mainly post-COVID. But even before COVID, 2017, 2018, 2019, liquidity had started coming in. But now, 2023, 2024, तो बहुत ज़्यादा liquidity है. Lot of fundraising is possible on this exchange. I'll take you through some statistics as well for you to get perspective. Next, as a listed company, when you give shares to your employees to motivate them as employee stock options, they have real value, right? As a startup also you could give shares to your employees. Definitely you can. But problem ये है कि that shares do not have any marketable value now. With this, they have marketable value. Employees can realize actual value because those shares are openly traded in the market. The next some advantages are increased credibility, better partnerships, better future fundraising, creditworthiness with banks. Banks will obviously be much more interested in funding to you, because being a publicly traded company, a listed company, you'll have much better compliances, you would have raised funds, by the way, your balance sheet will be better, net worth will be better. All of those reasons why even future fundraising from the exchange itself through a follow on public offer, FPO जिसको बोलते हैं, या even from banks. Both makes it much easier because of this. Let's take some stats. Let's take some stats here. Right now, we are standing at a time where this market is kind of booming. Now, why I'm saying this, okay, is through facts. Now, if you, this is one of the reasons. Regulatory framework, the MSME, the SME exchange, these SME IPOs come with much less compliance than the main board issues. Timelines are much lesser. Approvals are much faster. Because of this reason also, these are booming. Okay. Now, it's booming, everything very good. Now, let's look at some wrong reasons. Some wrong reasons for doing this. One, Baba, this is not an exit. It is not an exit. अगर आप सोचते हो कि चलो I will list my company and then I will leave the business, that's not going to happen. That's not allowed also. That's not even possible, and that's not the thing. Consider the IPO as a starting point of a valuation journey, not the end. Please कभी ऐसा नहीं सोचना this is exit, this is not exit. This is the starting point. If you are going to, you believe that your business will grow, you believe that this has a lot of potential, it is going to be the next big thing, you are going to be in the business for the next 10, 15, 20 years, you want to grow it, this is the right thing. You want to exit from it? No, maybe. Consider an exit 10 years down the line after the IPO, समझ सकता हो? Not immediately. Next thing is prioritizing short-term gains over long-term value creation. Again, one more thing, do not do this. There could be many ways and there could be many tempting ways that you would say, okay, let me push up the valuation, all of that, but those are not the right reasons for it. The only thing that you have to look at doing is consistently grow the business. If you do it, value will automatically go up. Okay, now let's talk about the eligibility criteria. Who is eligible for the SME IPO? So, there are slightly different criteria for the BSc MSE segment and the BSc SME segment and the NSC emerge segment. Okay, this motamoti certain differences are there, but roughly it is the same. One of few of the important criteria that I'll cover here is, first and foremost, you should have a net worth should be positive. Net worth should be there. For NSC, it's just positive net worth should be there in 2 out of the 3 years. For BSc, 1 crore minimum net worth needs to be there in the last 2 years. Okay. Then net tangible assets, मतलब all your plant, machinery, building, stock, वो सब मिला के tangible assets. BSc says it should be 3 crores in the preceding year. That's it. Apart from that, you need to do profitable. You have to be profitable in 2 out of the 3 years. That's it. No minimum amount of profit, but needs to be profitable. NSE has come up with recently a new criteria on free cash flows. इसका मतलब the business should be generating cash, not shouldn't be that the business is actually working constantly on loan finance. पैसा कहाँ से आया? Because loan लिया. पैसा कहाँ से आया? और पैसा infuse किया. That should not be the case. The business itself, from its operations, should be generating cash, and this free cash flows to equity should be there in 2 out of the 3 preceding years. With me, everybody? If any questions, we'll take that also, but I know this is a technical topic, but trying to cover it as in a short time as possible. Also, we have a detailed white paper that we have written on this, and we are launching it here. It will be shared with every one of you. All of this data is there in that and much more. Okay, the process. ये सब ठीक है, very good. अब तक समझ गए, अच्छी चीज़ है, चलो करते हैं, explore करते हैं, करना क्या होता है? 8 steps. ये follow कर दिया, you become a listed company. First, appoint a merchant banker. Very, very important thing is the intermediary who is going to take your IPO ahead, who is going to put your offer document to the exchange, get the approval, market the issue, talk to investors, help do all of that stuff is called a merchant banker. सबसे पहले तो appoint a merchant banker. Then the merchant banker will do your due diligence. He'll do a financial due diligence, a legal due diligence, and see whether you are eligible. All the eligibility criteria that I mentioned, are you meeting them? Firstly. Secondly, is your financial management good? Is your बहुत ज़्यादा debt तो नहीं है? Just do a normal due diligence to understand where you stand. Have a discussion with you of how much valuation should you be expecting, how much money can you raise on this exchange at this point in time, etc. After that, you start preparing the DRHP, Draft Red Herring Prospectus. Draft Red Herring Prospectus, DRHP. This is a document in which you mention a lot of things. Financials of your company, management का profile, business का overview होता है, if there are any legal cases pending against your company, lot of details you have to give on that front, and then most importantly, how much are you going to be raising, what are you going to do with that money, and how are you going to effectively utilize that money. Okay? All of this process में a lot of intermediaries help you, the merchant banker, advisors, a lot of people help you in this. After this, you move to the next stage, which is getting the approval from the stock exchange. Then you start marketing the issue, get the investors, etc. After you get the investors, you open the issue, money comes into your bank account, you allot the shares, and finally trading starts on the platform. Next, I think that is for paucity of time, I'm skipping this slide. Let's go to who are we and how can we help. So Inside Advisory is a full-fledged professional services firm. We specialize in making MSMEs ready for growth. This includes making MSME ready for SME IPOs. So from selecting the right merchant banker for your industry to helping your board create the mindset, very important, the mindset, and the team to create the mindset needed for going public, then helping your team understand the various processes and management level changes that you might require to make this a complete success, help you at every stage of the way, all the way till you are public and beyond. That is what we do. Okay, last, done with the session. Thank you so much everybody for the patient hearing. Now, if you want to know more about this topic, if you find this interesting, you want to know more about it, we have created a white paper on this subject. You can scan this QR code and you can download the white paper. It covers everything that I spoke about in much more depth, and it takes you through some case studies, some analysis, some key success factors, what leads to a successful IPO, etc. And I would be very happy to take any questions or feedbacks that you guys might have. Thank you.